In our previous session, we learned about the different types of data, and depends on the data we can select the charts. So I just want to revise it, only the types of the data and how to identify it. So as we know that if the data is nominal, at that time it is counted but not order and aggregated. If it is ordinal, then it is counted and ordered but not aggregated. And when it is a matrix, at that time, it is a quantitative data that can be counted, ordered, and aggregated. And sometimes we use the combination of the ordinal and the matrices. As per the condition, some data can be used as an attribute or the matrices. So the classification is depends on the usage. And depend on the categories of the data comparison, we can use such kind of the charts. Like if it is in component form, then we can use the pie chart. If it is in item form, then we can use the horizontal bar chart or the vertical bar chart. Then for the time series and the frequency, we use the bar chart as well as the line chart. And whenever there is a relation between the items, or we can say for the correlation purpose, we can use this chart, that is a bar chart having the different color code, or we can use the bubble chart as well. So based on these, we can find out in percentile format how to use the bar chart or any kind of chart, and it will give us the summary of the percentile of use of each chart. So as shown here, these five are the basic charts which we use for the visualization purpose. In that, the use of the pie chart is the 5%. Then use of the bar chart is the 25%. Then the column chart and the line chart are combinedly used as a 50%. And the dot chart used for the recommended as a 10%. Okay. So based on this slide, we can say that the most probably we use the column chart and the line chart or the combination of both. Then there are some composite chart which convey the more business dimension and the matrices or the metrics into single display. So the composite charts are heat map. So as we already learn about how to create the heat map in the Tableau. Okay, it will give us the comparison in form of the size and the color. So we can say that we can identify the cells of data with respect to either the size or the color. More dark color gives us the more cells, as well as the bigger size gives us the more cells. Then we can use the bullet graph, micrograph, graph matrix, and the bubble chart. So all these are the common chart, or we can say that the basic chart, and these are the composite charts. Then our next topic is the what are the learning objectives of the data visualization? Why we use the data visualization? Basically, it identifies the best practices for designing data visualization in preparation for completing the data visualization exercise. So these are some charts which can use for the analysis purpose. So for as we know that depends on what kind of data we used, we have to design the chart. So for visualization of nominal and metric data in comparative analysis, then for that kind of data, the bar chart are recommended. Okay, both are the bar chart. Only the difference is the color. For this chart, it looks in a single color and it is in a combination of the shade of that color. So for the analysis purpose, we use the bar chart. Then what is the use of the pie chart and how to use it? So whenever the breaking down of the contribution of the nominal and the metric data is given, at that time either we can go with the pie chart or the heat map. Okay, both gives us the comparison in form of the contribution. Okay, so as we know about the bar chart, it will make the slices of the item and it will present the data in form of the percentage, and summation gives us a 100% as a total. Similarly, we can use the heat map. After that, for the visualization of the ordinal and metric data, we can use the column chart or the line chart. Okay, so this is my column chart and this is my line chart. For the time series analysis, we can use the line chart. After that, analysis of nominal and the nominal data can be visualized through the network analysis. Okay, so this is the network analysis. So the diagram represents the network analysis for the market basket analysis of flight, which gives us the values of the flight volume and the average delay times for the airlines. Okay. Basically, we use the network chart whenever there is a relationship between the network. As we know that for the network analysis or for the airline services, we use the map. As well as similarly, we can use the scattered grid for implementing of the network analysis. Again, for the time series analysis, we can use the line chart like this. We can create the axis as we already known about the dual axis. Whenever we have to use the same measure twice at that time, we can use the dual axis. Again, we can use the heat map analysis as a scattered grid like this. We can represent our data. These are the few examples only. Now, in short, this slide gives us the, we can say that this is the conclusion of the type of the data and what kind of the charts we can use. Okay, so whenever the data in form of the attribute at that time, either we can go with the bar chart or the heat map, network chart or the line chart and the bar chart. Whenever the data in form of the ordinal attribute, at that time we can use the column and line chart. And whenever the data in form of the metric, we can use either the scatter chart or the bubble chart. So this one shows the spark line of dashboard, which dashboard consists of the different kind of the chart like chart, column chart for analyzing the customer support activities. Okay. So this is the bullet chart. This is the line one. This is the grid chart. This is the bar chart. And this is in form of the table. It will give us the values only. So like this, with the help of the basic chart and the composite chart, we can design any kind of dashboard. After that, there are some rules for designing the charts. So the first rule is think about which increments are best to use in chart. So remember that before you choose a basic or composite chart, you must identify the message you are trying to visually communicate. Okay. After that, avoid the combining unrelated charts into one. So as we know that we are using the pie chart and the heat map for the same purpose. Okay. So do not communicate both chart with one another. Do not combine them. Then the next one is consider the importance of direction when presenting data. So whenever you are designing the dashboard, you should know how to import the chart and how to place it in its position. Then next one is avoid cramming too much information into each chart. Okay, so this is very important. As we are selecting the chart and as we know that what kind of data we have to represent into the chart, so no need to combine the data and no need to design the chart for each and every information. Like if we are focused on this case on this dashboard, so the new cases and the total are simply represented into the values format. Okay. So avoid the unnecessary use of the chart. As we know that it is also possible to represent the new cases in form of bar chart as well. Okay, but instead of this, keep it simple and in readable format. Make sure that any data label or data legends are legible. Okay, so we have to drag and drop the labels carefully. Then think about the order and direction of the slices in pie chart. Again, avoid using too many effects to differentiate each slice. So we have to make our pie chart simple. Think about the size of the spark lines and ensure they are placed in relevant sections. Okay. So all these are the general rules for designing the chart. So as we learn about how to design the chart and what kind of rules we have to follow, based on these we can say that the charts are the gorgeous or the charts can be ugly. So color choices play a huge role in effectively communicating or not communicating the information. So this slide gives us the idea about the color combination. So as per the survey, it is noticed that 10 to 18% of adult male population can't distinguish between the red color and the green color. They are the color blind people. Okay. So if you choose the red and green color, you should minimize their use in representation because there you will have a member of audience who don't see what you are trying to communicate because they are not able to identify the difference between these two colors. Okay, so we are considering one example based on this. Can you see it? there is one number which is placed on that bubbles. Can you recognize that number? If yes, write down in chat box. Okay, Vaibhav says 74. What about others? Everyone should type in chat box. Other students, only Vaibhav, Prachi and Achal replied in chat box. What about others? You are just connected to the lecture and stay away from the mobile. Okay, so it is 74, right? But it is quite difficult to recognize. What is the reason? What is the reason behind this? Why it is not appear properly? You can write down in chat box. I think you all easily recognize this number. Okay. So the reason is that as a general rule, use fewer than 6 colors. Okay. So at background, there are so many colors are available in form of the in darker form or like this. Okay, so if the background is plain with the white color or any slight color, then it is very easy for the user to recognize that number. Yes, Prachi says colors combination is not proper, right? Okay, so you have to remember this rule that you can use less than the 6 colors. Okay, so, identify attributes to color code information is a way that create the visual pattern. Too many color will distract your audience. Okay, so do not use too many colors while creating the charts. Then there is one another rule. While designing the chart, use opposing colors to compare and contrast. Okay. So as we know that it gives the combination of the blue and orange, but they don't complement with each other. So I want to show you one side where we can easily identify the color code. Okay. So how to choose the opposing color? So by default I click on the green. So it will appear the opposite color as a pink. So we can use such kind of colors. Okay. Suppose I am going to click here. So it will give me the opposite color for this color. So like this we can select the opposite color. Again, there is one more rule while designing the dashboard or while designing the chart. Keep background color as a faint so that you can use warm color for your data. Okay. Then our next topic is about the performance of the dashboard. In this, the learning objectives are we have to define and understand the purpose of dashboard. Again, we have to review some examples. Then we have to see how industry leaders have successfully deployed the dashboard, how to list out the attribute of metrics which are included in the dashboard, and the practice creating the dashboard. So this is the sample dashboard which include the different kind of charts. A dashboard consists of the variety of charts like or we can say the visual rides that include the chart, performance bar, spotlines, gauges, meters, spotlights, lights, or we can say the geographical graph like this. So as we know that whenever we are designing any kind of the dashboard, that data is collected from the different sources and we can make the multiple kind of visualization based on the same data. Okay. So like this, we can design the dozens of report based on the same data set. So this data set allow the user to get at a glance view or down to get a depth view of the performance. A dashboard can go from broad views about the entire organization to a specific focus on the product or the process. They can contain either long-term strategic view, performance, or the short-term view on operation business. So based on the what kind of a data you are representing on your dashboard, we can get a knowledge about the data, either that knowledge in form of the depth or the short term. So based on this, there are some example of the dashboard. So the first is related to the store manager. So whenever we are considering the dashboard for the store manager, it shows us the information about that store operation. What kind of the operations are happen in that store, what are the key performance indicator and what are the organizational benchmark. Okay, so all these about the store manager only. Whenever we are designing the dashboard for any kind of the bank, it will give us the information about the production data, customer data, and the financial information about the bank. And the third example is based on the governmental agency. So suppose it is related to the medical field, then it will give us the data about the Medicare spending per state and the Medicare hospital admission of data. So based on the whatever data we have to design the meaningful dashboard. No matter the area of focus, like it is either it is a store or the bank or the governmental agency, once you have created meaningful visualization, you want to derive them into the business by aligning behind those number, using them to enable for the better decision making of that organization. So before you create any kind of dashboard, you have got to know about what type of data you will be working with. Okay. After that, we have to focus on some action items. So first we have to focus on what type of a data will you show, then how often will it need to be refreshed. Okay, so whenever we are extracting the data, at that time no need to refresh it, but whenever we are extracting the data directly from the server, at that time we have to refresh it frequently. Then how are your users? Okay, so as we know that whenever you have to design the dashboard, you have to consider your user. You have to design it as per your user choice. Then what devices will they use? So you have to use the devices as per the user's requirement. Then you have to define your goals. And as we learn about the matrices previously, you have to select the right metrics while designing the dashboard. So that's it for the theory point of view. Then we will moving towards our practical session. So in this session, we are going to learn about the donut chart and how to design the donut chart. So what is meant by the donut chart? As we discussed earlier, it is almost identical to the pie chart, but the center is cut out, hence the name of that chart is the donut chart. Donut chart are also used to show the proportion of categories that make up the whole, but the center can also be used to display the data, used to compare the differences between the categories. So I just want to show you the representation of the donut chart. Okay. So this is the pie chart and this is the donut chart. In pie chart, we are unable to use this middle space, or we can say the center space. Instead of this, in donut, we can utilize this space. Okay. So first try to understand how to make it and then you can practice. So as we know that we can draw the donut chart with the help of the pie chart. So first we have to select the pie chart from the marks card. So go to marks card and click on the pie. Okay. After that we have to select the any kind of the measure. Suppose I am going to select the sales. Just click on the cells, or we can put the cells into the angle. So it will create the pie chart. Okay. As we already select the pie chart from the marks, so it will automatically create the pie chart. Then suppose I want to choose the cells by region, because we have to make a slices on this chart. Okay. So for that I am going to put the region into the colors. So go to the location, go to the region and put the region into the colors. Okay. So it will look like this. It will gives me the cells as per the region. Okay. Now, as we know that the pie chart is in form of the percentile, but now it gives us the values in form of the number. So suppose I want to assign the percentile over here, then you go to the sum of sales and go to the quick table calculation, and as I need the percentile of total, so just click on percent of total. Okay. Now it will shows me the value of sales in form of the percentage instead of the number. Okay. Now we have to make the donut chart. So place the category into the column. Category into the column. Sum of sales into the text. Okay. So instead of this, I am going to make it differently. I think it is not supported in the latest version. So we'll create the new chart. For that, firstly we need the order count. This order count is given here, and suppose I am going to place it in the column, and we need the aggregate function here. Okay, and whenever I am going to click here, as we know that order count, though it is in form of the measure, I am going to check the aggregate function, but there is no aggregate function is there. Wait for a second, I'm going to click sales and click over here. Yeah, now it gives me the measure and it gives me the number of aggregated function over here. Okay, because as we know that only on measure we can perform the aggregated function. But whenever I am going to click over here, that is a count of order, I am unable to see the aggregated function. Okay, I am going to show you once. For sum of sale, the measure option is present here, and then all these are the aggregated function. But for the counter, that is CNT order, the aggregation function is not available. So at that time we have to make the calculated field. Okay, so I am going to clear it, go to the analysis and create calculated field. So suppose the create calculated field name is the number of order, and for now I am going to place it 1 only here. Just place 1 and click on apply. Okay. Okay. Now it will give me the aggregated field. So I am going to place the number of order field here, and make it aggregated. So we can use any kind of function. We can select the sum, average, median, count, count distinct. You can select any kind of say option here. For now, I am going to select the maximum. Okay. Now, again, I am going to pick the number of record field into the row. So it will create the two charts, and using the same measure I want to create the dual axis. So suppose instead of this I am going to select the pie chart over here, and again though I am going to select the number of order into my row. So it will create the presentation like this. Now suppose I want to create the dual axis for the second measure, then go to that measure name and create dual axis. Okay. So as we know that it will synchronize the axis. The y axis is different for both, but the x axis is the same. Okay. Then we can increase the size of the pie chart.